Welcome back to another Game Garage video. I am Bodie. This is my, I just pointed at you. I'm Bodie. This is my dad, Sam. We are talking about Cascadia.
Cascadia.
We just finished a playthrough, which we're trying. We've never done a playthrough
Never done a
before,
playthrough.
so we're giving it a whirl. You may not see the video. We don't even know if the footage turned out. We'll find out. Either way, this is another buy bar or bust video. It's just a video where we talk about the pros, the cons, and we'll finish out with telling you whether you should buy it. First of all, how does the game work? It's a pretty simple, family-friendly game where you're selecting tiles to place into your habitats. You're trying to make big runs of forests and big runs of grasslands and trying to connect as many of the different common types together.
A little bit of a puzzle that I'm working on right here, and then the cards right here tell me how I score.
Hawks are going to score by being by themselves, and they're kind of a thematic tie-in where it makes some sense to that animal. Hawks are territorial, they want to be by themselves. The elks, they're going to score by being in a straight line. The salmon, they're going to score by being in runs.
Yeah, it's like they have a stream that they're going through.
Grizzly bears are we call them bears in pairs. They want to be together, but with nobody else. There can only be two grizzly bears together. And then foxes score by being next to unique animals.
They want a lot of animals to eat.
Yeah, they want options. The other thing that scores is how big each of your habitats are. So whoever has the biggest forest is going to score bonus points.
I didn't know that completely when we were playing the game. That rule just kind of...
He's a little bitter about it.
And as to whether or not that impacted the way that I finished the game...
You're going to have to watch the video
no
for yourself.
No spoilers or anything like that. I'm just saying that I didn't know that part. Let's start with the pros and cons.
I'm going to start with just right out of the gate, this game is fast. It sets up fast. You get going really fast.
You know what you're doing fairly fast. Like, I get what I'm supposed to do.
It's fairly easy to catch on. And when you're doing your turn, you're just taking a tile with another tile. And you place them. That's it. There's not much else to do on your turn other than figure out where it goes. And the nice thing is, once I've selected this, he can go.
We put out the new thing. I get to look over what's going on.
And I love when games do that. I love when they give me the ability to start playing my turn on somebody else's turn. That way I'm not just waiting.
My first pro is very similar to that. Simple and fast. And the simple part was, I asked a few questions. I wanted to know what, how we finished, how we started, but it was really straightforward as to what was going on. I liked the fact that I wasn't, in this game, nobody could gang up on me. And so like if I'm the favorite one and there's three people playing, they can't play really against me. I can't mess up their game.
They seem to have leaned into the family-friendly thing. And there's a couple games doing this. I think of Isle of Cats does the same thing, where they've got a family variant. And this is just a way to score that kind of removes all of the puzzly, difficult things, but it gives you enough puzzle to be fun for you as a parent to play, but your kid could join you and play it. I think that's really cool. I'd love to see more games do this. I think this is smart.
For me, I started off, I wrote down this con and then realized it wasn't even a con. One of my cons was that it felt so simple. I kind of got it. I understood what was going on here. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I got it. But I'm wondering how many times I would play. And then Bodie tells me, oh no, there's all these other scoring cards. And so my con was, it was too simple scoring. But tell them about that part, because I've not played that, and it looks very interesting.
Here's an example. The elks here, I only have one scoring type out here.
Yeah, there's just a straight line.
It's really simple.
Yeah, 4 of them.
But as you get going, you can start playing different ways, and I haven't played some of these. This one scores per group of elk in this exact shape. So you've got to make that shape of elk, and you score more points based on the shape you make. Then you go up to this one. Now you're scoring for each group of elk in any shape. So now it's just trying to get big groups of elk together. This one's crazy. You got to take elk and you got to put them in a circle. That doesn't sound crazy, but when you're playing this game, to actually get something in a circle, to have the tiles at the right time, to put them in a circle, that's difficult.
So what I realized when he showed me those cards was, at first I was like, that's just simple scoring, like hawks all individuals, elk in a line, salmon running through it, bears in pairs, and fox around a bunch of people. But then when I saw all that, I'm like, oh, This just went from a 20-piece puzzle to like a 100-piece puzzle.
They didn't skimp out on it because they added this, which is totally optional. It's a little scenario group that you can go through. These are all labeled A, B, C, and D, and it tells you which group of scoring cards to place together. And they have, looks like 15 different kind of variations and different ways you can combine the different scoring types. And then they give you goals that you're trying to meet. And so there's kind of a fun play the game, try to beat a score, but also try to beat each other. And they did a really good job of implementing a small little scenario campaign thing.
What started out is, I'm not sure how many times I would replay that. All of a sudden he opens that up and I'm like, oh man, that looks really kind of fun. And because it's so fast, you know, I don't know how quickly we did it, 35, 40 minutes, something like that. But it's just not going to go long. Like when 2 or 3 of you are playing it, you all know how to play. It really is a fun little puzzle. So the replayability now, I didn't even have it on my pro list, but because they kind of started me out simple, like, oh, I get it, that's really fun.
Yeah, they ramp you into it, and then
it's
they
really good.
Start kind of revealing more and more parts of the puzzle that make it more fun.
Another pro for me, our game was close, although I'm not going to tell you who won, but our game was very close.
1 point difference.
Well, yeah, very close. Every game you've played has been pretty close.
Yeah, they did a really good job, it seems, of balancing. I do have a question about the balance, and so I need to play it more. Before I say too much about the game, I've seen the score be really close for 1 or 2 people, and then some people just fall back, and I'm not sure why. There's sometimes not a clear path to victory. Like, I can't sit down and tell a person, here's kind of strategy tips. And maybe it's just because I'm bad at this game. I love playing it. I just don't always know how to win it.
But I'm going to guess, this is my guess on this, that as long as you didn't waste a move, that this game gets really tight.
Yeah.
But if you get a move, like I say I have 1 bear but not 2, and so now I've got kind of a lost tile there, I'm going to lose that point. But both of us scored all of the animals. It's going to reward you when you play it well and keep it nice and tight. And so that makes little decisions really make a difference. Because honestly, the decision to go wipe the deck and
I haven't talked
this,
about this yet. I haven't mentioned
it. Go ahead.
These nature tokens are arguably kind of the icing on the cake that really take this game to another level. Once you get one, you can spend it on your turn to either wipe all of the animals and replace them, or wipe 1 or 2 of the animals and replace them with new animals out of the bag, which then gives you more decisions. Or instead of having to take 2 things as a pair,
yep,
you can take 2 things that are opposite of each other, which you can't otherwise normally
that
do.
way. I mean, that's huge. But this is worth a point in the end game. And once again, there was only 1 point
when
difference.
There's a 1 point difference, there's a certain part of you that's like, ooh,
so that means if one of us wouldn't have played this,
yeah, there would have been a. Yeah, it's crazy. It's well done.
Yeah, that means that when you're playing well, the little decisions are just huge. Every now and then Bodie was picking up pairs and he's like, well, I get a token with that. I'm like,
it's almost like I'm going to
remember that.
I'm going to go for that token. Well, this is not a great turn right now. It's setting me up for a future turn. That whole concept of the layers of decisions and how the kind of the puzzle as a bunch of cogs interact with each other and all the ramifications of every choice that you make, that's probably my #1 pro for this game. The decisions you make just feel meaty. Every decision I'm making feels like it's impacting the future choices, and it's layered of like, there's 4 different things I could do, and I'm not sure the dominoes that will get knocked over because I decided to combine this and go after those. And that is just so rarely accomplished on a small scale.
Yeah, real small.
It feels like to do that, to have those really good interactions, those really good choices, most people need a big, complex Euro with all these moving parts and pieces.
Yeah, and this is what, like a 5-minute setup? Like 5-minute setup, easy, small board, small play space.
And you're done in 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's just gives you good decisions fast. And I can't stress enough how, for us, we both just want to make fun, unique decisions that we're not sure the consequences or what's going to happen.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
And this game did that.
It was so close.
We won't tell you who won. Gotta go watch it. This game, though, gave us good decisions constantly.
Okay, another pro for me. It was a fun 2-player game. There was a little bit of interaction. Here's what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm like, oh, you're going to pick that. And again, when you see our playthrough, you'll see some of the conversation. It's not like, oh, I'm hitting you and you're beating on me. It's not like a game of Unmatched, where it's,
It's
like,
not aggressive.
But it is a, you're not so enveloped in your game. I mean, sometimes your head never looks up and you're just trying to figure out your puzzle. It's not that hard.
This is a weird... I don't really know how to approach this because it is a con to me that I don't interact. The game doesn't make me interact.
That is correct.
However, if you're looking for a relaxing evening and you just want to have a conversation, this is a conversation game.
Right.
It takes enough
like
brain
other
power.
subjects can come up while you're playing the game.
Once you and I knew this game, I could see us playing this more times and it becoming more of a, let's talk about what we're going to do with the channel while we place our tiles and see who wins.
Like every now and then, I mean, I might try to distract him by asking him a question, but it is. I mean, you're thinking, and then you just kind of look up, and it's not that hard to get back into it.
There are some games that I'm so involved in that if I step away for 5 minutes, I come back and I'm like, oh no, what was I?
Don't go to the bathroom.
What I was doing. That's not this. This you can get in and out of the strategy.
Yeah, and that might be a con for some folks, but I think you want some games like this in your collection because there are some nights where you want to play this kind of game.
I want to be calm. Calico is another game that feels similar. Puzzly, tile laying, small decisions to make that are pretty meaty. Something about this game, and I need to play it more to really, if I'm not helping you out much, I need to play it more because I don't know why I like this game so much more than Calico.
Well, I think Calico, the puzzle is so hard. Like, the puzzle makes you think. I mean, you're like, oh man, I gotta. And this one really is because you're placing all these things now. Because you see all this, you think, oh, what's going on? But actually, you really only have 3 or 4 tiles ahead of you that you're placing things. And there's several times in this game where you're like, what was I thinking?
That happened a lot.
What was I doing? You know, and that's kind of a fun thing because you were trying to do one thing, but then in doing that one thing, you messed yourself up in this other situation that was going on. So
I think you're exactly right. Like, it's a puzzle that isn't so puzzly that it hurts your brain.
I mean, look at your forest is all sitting there. You got like 5 in your forest. I've got like 3 in a forest here, a forest by itself. I've got a little triangle forest.
And this 5 was after I accidentally boxed myself in here and was like, oh no, I can't actually make that forest bigger.
Right.
And I need it to be bigger so I can score bonus points.
And all I was trying to do was make one landscape big.
Because I didn't explain the rules.
Because he didn't explain the rules, right. But we won't talk about that
it's
right
a little
now.
bigger.
Okay, I've got one con, and again, I've only played it once, so this might not be fair. But it did feel like, at least with this card, it felt like the fox was just. He was underscored. He was like the dud of, like, I wanted all the other animals at various times, and the fox, whenever he showed up and he showed up in a pair, you just didn't want him. And
see, but I don't know if that's just a balance thing.
Yeah,
because you almost need a dud to make the draw more interesting.
Sure,
you draw out of the bag to fill this, and that would make wiping. I see this get wiped. I mean, you see in our discard.
Yeah, well, we wiped several fox out. Yeah, we wiped more fox
Not
than anything.
Good for the fox ecology, the economic environment. Not good for the fox environment. I don't know.
Right, but at the same time, I say that a fox, if you set him right, he's worth 5 points, which is more than what some of these.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell if they put this purposefully as kind of a dud animal that clogs this, so that you have to cycle the deck.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. It can score well. I just don't know. Is it an end game thing? Like, is it a don't play the fox until you've got a bunch going on that you can just, that's an easy 4. That's easy.
I wish that the 4 was like there was one more number here and maybe 2 more numbers here.
Even if all 6 sides scored.
Yeah, it's just something. I don't know. But for me, it was like when you saw the fox, you were like, I don't want to, you know. Yeah. And so that was just the con. All the other animals seemed great to have, and it's just because it felt like the fox scored weekly. Or not very well, not every week.
I didn't even catch it. I was like, why are you laughing?
Weekly. It's getting late.
Judgment's out on the Fox. You have to play it yourself to see what you think about that. Any other pros and cons for you?
No, I'm tapped out.
The only thing I can think of, this goes back to the decision conversation. I like that the decisions are constantly changing. Once you select, it gets refilled, and so that means as the person especially at a 4-player game, when I'm waiting, I can't just check out of everyone else's turn. Even though that doesn't really affect me, it does affect me in the ways that they are constantly cycling my options.
And I'm thankful for the guy who's just going to go into the whole, I don't know what to do. You're only taking one of the 4 pairs out.
Yep.
So the new things that are coming in, you've been able to think about the other 3. There's only 2 more things coming in.
It's really good information management. That's probably what makes this light around my head, is the information is not overwhelming. I'm not drawing 5 new cards.
What did you think of the rule book? Did you like the rule book?
Pretty good. It gets a little... If you know anything about me, I've got really strong opinions about rule books. My only complaint right now on this one is it's ripped.
Which is a personal thing, right?
It's a personal problem. But I set it down in water, and then I lifted it, and it just ripped.
Which
right
has
out.
nothing to do with the
the quality of the
or the production.
Yeah.
I felt like the scorecard really helped at the end. Like you just kind of
are some
walk through it.
You have to play it when you score. I actually think there's a little thing they did here that I really like. I'm sure other games do it. I'm sure it's not that big a deal, but it has made scoring an otherwise kind of hard game to score. Easy.
That you just kind of walk through it, and everybody just gives the scorekeeper their stuff. So buy, borrow, or bust. Where are you at?
100% buy.
Yeah. This is.
What about you?
Yeah, it's a buy. There's just no doubt about this game. It fills a gap in anybody's game collection. That there are people that will really enjoy this game, and it's not. You're not going to play heavies all the time. You're not going to play lights all the time.
Yep.
It's just like a really good. It's a good family game, good light game. If you're playing all day long, you're going to pull this one out somewhere in the middle.
Really good to come back to, play multiple times. Feels like a fresh game, even though you're playing it again. It's
a buy.
100% buy. If you get a chance, there's a reason this is hyped. I think that's what I came into it. I came into it saying it's hyped. I've seen a lot of people talk about it. There's no way it can be as good as everyone says. But it is.
Yeah,
really
I mean, top 100. When I got it for Bodie for a birthday present, and we didn't know anything about it. I was just like, top 100. It looks like it'd be, it looked like a nice game, but I'm like, what makes it so good? Because I'd read a couple of things. I'm like, I don't really get what makes that very good.
It's a whole different conversation, but it is really interesting. Reading about how this game works does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Even watching this review, I'm not even sure if this review would convince me.
And I think the playthrough, like if they watch the playthrough, I think that's where they will see where this makes a difference. Where not just the animals, but how you're doing that makes a difference. And so many different pieces come together. And so it's that there's a reason that so many people like it.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. We have no idea what we're going to review next. If you've got ideas, if you have something you want to see,
we're going to do deluxification though at some point.
Yes, deluxification of games is coming.
Yeah, and
I
was just working on that, and we've got 5 or 6 games that we could.
We've got ideas.
Show. Yeah, we got some ideas.
We don't know what it looks like yet, but it should be interesting.
At least watch our playthrough. We were living on the edge of failure. Let us know if you liked it or didn't like it, or
if we've released it. If we haven't, this is really embarrassing. We'll just cut all of this.
Cut all this out.
We're gonna have to cut the whole thing.
We're not doing it. Don't put it out.